So look at the questions. We have quite a few. The first question came in. Does 360 rain require any screening pre-treatment of manure to avoid plugging risk?
Yeah, and I think Andrew mentioned this one. You definitely want to do a few things to try and help with your plugging risk. A lot of the people, depending on the sort of the fiber that you're dealing with in the manure, have been using grinding to help with. If you're a dairy farm that's already doing some solid liquid separation, you might not have to do much at all to sort of say, I can run that through the machine. But if you're dealing with some solids, definitely some grinding as a pre-treatment is helpful. And then in the skid that 360 Rain uses with this machine, they do have some screening to help with some of those issues. They periodically back flush that screen on their control system, and we've had no trouble at the farm we worked with. I think Andrew had no trouble running manure through his skid as well. So it hasn't been an issue that we've seen, but if you do have high fiber manures, thinking about some of that grinding can help. But their skid doing the screening to help get everything down to size seems to work great for us.
Nothing else to add. He hit it.
Good. Second question would be, does it have variable rate functionality?
Yes, they are currently working on it. You can do that now. And I want to make a point that the machine variable rate is machine wide, not necessarily drop by drop.
Yeah, similar question. What kind of base map need to be loaded to the application? And it's capable of applying variable rate for different soil type, different soil nutrient levels on the field.
So the base map is created from the planter map. When the planter goes to the field, it has a tower on it that's connected to the base station that is specific for the rain unit, and that creates the base set of paths. After that, any prescription can be made as a shape file, and you can use whatever means you want to make that map.
What percent solids can the 360 rain handle?
I was waiting for that one. So we have a grower here in Ohio that is running pure manure, dairy manure, and that's 6% solids, has no issues. I do know there was a place here in Ohio running 12% solids, that is a lot, and they were injecting that in 50 gallons per minute and out of a 200 gallon per minute flow. So 3 to 1, 3 parts water to 1 part manure, but they were getting 12% and they had no issues.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing to think about when you ask what percent solids can it handle. Most of those higher solids manures will still start to have higher nutrient content concentrations in them, and you probably have to think about it as a portion of your flow rather than the total flow, where you're going to end up putting more nitrogen on than you can handle with one pass.
Question was about fall and spring injections were conducted with rain.
Yep. And we did not conduct those with the rain. The fall and the spring, we used a manure tank. So we had the farmer hire a commercial manure applicator with us to handle the fall and spring injections. So those were done with a traditional tank. It was our other 3 treatments where we used the rain unit to actually do the treatments. So we had a comparison to what it was putting on. And you can also say that, well, how good were your manure tankers at hitting rate sometimes? I'd like to say we were perfect. Obviously, we weren't, but hopefully we were roughly comparable, and we have some data to say that we didn't do too bad getting it on. With our spring manure that year, we were a little higher than the rate we wanted to be. I think every one of you can respect that when you put it on with the tank, you aren't going to hit the number perfectly on the head. We didn't, but we were reasonably close for what we were trying to do.
Moving on to the next question, was your lagoon methane reduction measured or simulated?
Yep. So I didn't simulate a lagoon. We simulated, though, deep pits and slurry stores. I want to make sure that I don't say it was a lagoon. Those were based on typical Iowa storages, and while we do have a few lagoons, I don't have any methane data from the lagoons. The methane rate data that we measured beforehand to use in our simulation model was from deep pits and slurry stores.
How many years were you using for payback on the equipment?
So at the end, I told you what it was worth per acre and told you how many years it would take me to get payback when I thought of that deep pit. And we were sort of in that 14-year window. I showed the graph as a function of how many acres did you have to run with different manure types to get payback. That was within 5 years. So that essentially said that dairy farms should be able to pay back their equipment just on our estimated cost savings of manure application within 5 years. So that's what we did there.
The last question about what percentage of the soil get covered with the rain application surface.
So that is going to vary on which drops are on the base of the machine. So we have ran several types of drops, but while in growing season, we typically use a Y drop, and you're covering so a 15-inch band, you're covering approximately 50% of the soil or less, depending how fast you're traveling, and that travel speed dictates how much liquid you put down. So if you're in the upper speeds, and your flow rate, it's 50% or less is getting covered. So when we talk about the application rate setting, so if I go in the app and I want to put down a half-inch of water, that calculation is based off 100% coverage. There's no adjustment that's been made to say, well, while we're doing it a half inch, you're only covering 50% of the area. That there's no widely accepted number on what the banding efficiency is at this time.
Excellent. So we have no more questions. So I would like to thank the speakers